Welcome to our podcast session. Today we're taking a deep dive into the mysterious, Book of Revelation, but not in the traditional way we all know. Yep, we're looking into its hidden political and historical layers.
Absolutely, it's fascinating. So we're saying this isn't exactly a guide to the end times, but could actually be more of a coded cry of resistance?
Exactly. It's like, imagine if that terrifying apocalypse you heard about was really just a reaction to one of the most chaotic moments in Jewish and Roman history.
Right.
It's a reframe of trauma, not a prophecy of our future.
Yeah, that's a pretty radical shift. So, if I'm getting this right, the core point here is the dating of Revelation, right?
Yes. Traditional teaching places Revelation around 95 CE during Domitian's reign, but there's this alternative view that it may have been penned way earlier, like in the 60s CE, amid Nero's reign.
Yeah, and that change in date totally flips the meaning. Because if it's pre-70 CE, before the destruction of the Jewish temple, then the symbols become a direct response to real political events of that time. Isn't that so?
Absolutely. See, if Revelation was written before the temple's destruction, John was not predicting a far-off doom. It was, a passionate, vivid portrayal of a contemporary crisis. It's like he was documenting a world on fire, both literally and metaphorically.
That's wild. So rather than being a blueprint for the end of the world, it's more like a diary entry of, that ancient trauma.
Yeah, it's almost like a coded letter of political revenge. For example, the image of the beast, especially the number 666, or in some texts 616, is not some mystical digit but a direct numerical reference to Nero.
Wait, so you're saying that the beast number actually decodes to Nero's name using Hebrew numerology? That's quite a twist, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. In Hebrew, Nero Caesar adds up to 666, and in Latin texts it sometimes shows up as 616. The early authors were, pretty explicit if you look at the numerology. They weren't trying to hide a cosmic secret. They were, in fact, pointing a finger at Rome's most notorious emperor.
That really reinterprets the iconography. And what about other symbols, like the dragon or the woman giving birth? How do they fit into this political canvas?
Great question. Those symbols draw heavily from Jewish apocalyptic literature like Daniel or even one Enoch. It's, full of vivid imagery to speak about imperial violence. The dragon and the woman, often interpreted as Israel and its suffering, are direct analogies for Rome's tyranny.
Right. So it becomes a kind of coded resistance literature where the imagery is metaphors for like actual political conflicts and national trauma.
Exactly. John isn't outlining a future war. He's using these layers of symbolism to condemn Rome and express deep sorrow over the loss of the temple, which for Jews was, the epicenter of their spiritual life.
That perspective really shifts how we understand these events. But here's something I find a bit challenging. If Revelation is just a reaction to its historical context, why does it seem so timeless, with visions of future wars and cosmic battles?
That's a fair point. One way to see it is that by using such dramatic and universal symbols, John intended the message to resonate on multiple layers. On one level, it's a protest against the immediate oppression, but over time, its imagery got reinterpreted. Think of it like a powerful piece of art that can, be read differently by successive generations.
I see. It's like the artwork evolves with the audience. And speaking of reinterpretations, the discussion also brings up how later, after Constantine, the Church rebranded Revelation entirely.
Yes, exactly. After Christianity became the official religion, church leaders repurposed Revelation. They stripped its raw political anger and turned its imagery into spiritual warnings. So now, instead of warning against imperial subjects, it's about sin and the devil.
Right. So it's basically a tool of control now, a way to regulate behavior by framing judgment as coming from a cosmic rather than a political source.
Precisely. It's like the text was disinfected to suit the new political and theological climate. Instead of being a rallying cry against the oppressive regime, it's depicted as, a guide on how to live morally.
That's a significant transformation. And then there's the aspect of internal Christian conflicts, you mentioned, right? Against the so-called synagogue of Satan, and criticisms directed at Pauline Christianity.
Absolutely. Revelation doesn't hold back when it comes to internal struggles. It speaks out against groups that compromised traditional Jewish laws and embraced more Hellenistic or Greek cultural elements. It was a provocation against those seen as dilution of the original faith.
So in a way, Revelation is not only a condemnation of Roman imperial power, but also an internal battlefield between different visions of what early Christianity should be.
Exactly. It's a theological grenade thrown into the mix. It challenges both external and internal enemies, and that caused a lot of debate among church leaders later on, which is also why some early fathers, like Eusebius and even Martin Luther or Calvin, were so wary of it.
Interesting. The fact that it was almost excluded from the canon speaks volumes about its contentious nature.
Yeah, it nearly didn't make the cut. Its rawness and overt symbolism made it too dangerous, or so some argued. But then, ironically, it survived, and over time, its image got sanitized and repackaged into the norms we see today, like warnings about microchips and
Right.
barcodes as marks of the beast.
That certainly shows how powerful and malleable symbols can be. They adapt to the fears and philosophies of the time.
Exactly. It's like, a multifaceted mirror. What you see depends on where you're standing. For John, it was a cry of resistance and sorrow. For later generations, it became a moral and eschatological guide.
And that duality makes it even richer, don't you think? But, something still puzzles me. If it was written as a reaction to the impending doom of the temple, why does it at times describe future destruction, like a still-standing temple and prophecies about wars to come?
Right. That's one of the intriguing aspects. Some argue that the vision of the temple still standing is, deliberate. It might be a signal that the text was written before the temple's fall, serving as a warning to a community on the brink of catastrophe.
So we're to understand that John was foreseeing a calamity, a Roman war and destruction that was imminent, rather than an abstract future apocalypse?
Precisely. His imagery was a desperate, coded call to arms against an unstoppable tide, a blend of political fury and religious lament. It's like he was, trying to prepare his community for the harsh realities they were about to face.
That's both tragic and powerful. So ultimately, Revelation becomes a historical document, a record of intense societal trauma, rather than a guide for future judgment.
Exactly. It's less about predicting the end of the world and more about documenting the end of one world, the world of a proud, historic community under siege.
Yeah, and this reinterpretation calls into question modern readings. I mean, preachers today warn of the mark of the beast in, microchips and barcodes, when historically it was a rebuke of tyranny and betrayal.
Right. It's almost ironic how, over the centuries, the original intent was twisted to fit new narratives. It shows how symbols can be repurposed to control belief systems.
I completely agree. But here's my challenge. Can we reliably reinterpret these texts when every translation and interpretation is layered with centuries of bias? How do we strip away all the later political and theological baggage?
That's the crux of the debate, isn't it? It's a, continuous process of peeling back layers. Scholars like Elaine Pagels, Robert Mounce, and others work tirelessly to re-examine these texts in their original context. While absolute certainty might be elusive, these discussions, allow us to consider alternative and possibly more authentic interpretations.
It's like trying to decode an ancient cipher where every translation carries a piece of modern ideology, right?
Exactly. And that makes the study of Revelation not just about theology, but about history, politics, and even interpretative art. It challenges us to rethink power, both ancient and modern.
Wow, this discussion definitely has opened up a new way of seeing an old text. It's a reminder of how context shapes meaning across time.
Absolutely. Whether you see Revelation as a dire prophecy or as a coded musical lament against imperial power, it remains one of the most compelling texts in our cultural heritage, rich, complex, and always a mirror reflecting the fears and aspirations of its
Right on.
readers.
Well, this has been incredibly eye-opening. Thank you for unraveling such layered insights today.
My pleasure. And if this discussion made you think twice about ancient prophecies and modern interpretations, um, definitely share this with someone ready to explore the truth behind the symbols.